What is red and bad for your teeth?
We're doing this again, huh? Okay. What is red and bad for your teeth, Jacques?
A brick. I'm not a hacker, but I figured out what Forrest Gump's password is.
Is that right? And what is Forrest Gump's password?
One Forrest one. One Forrest one. Konnichiwa, Biff.
Hello.
How are you this fine?
I am doing fantastically. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. It is the first pool usable day, as so far as the pool temperature is above 60 and it's 90 degrees out. So
that's nice though. Yeah.
And we're having now we're going by the honor system, but we're having if you're vaccinated, come on over party. And it's all when I say we, unless you're making the road trip out here or All Stars coming with you, when I say we're having a pool party, it's all management's friends.
Yeah, sure.
Joe and I will get together to do a comedy thing. I'll go and see Dan and Jam, but it's like we don't get together just to get together. That's what text message is for. But she is like all her friends, her core group of friends. She has 4 or 5 friends coming over. They've all been vaccinated for a month plus. But it's
that's cool. Yeah,
it's life getting back to normal. So we're pretty excited about that.
Such as it is in your household.
What's that?
Such as normally is in your household.
Yeah, exactly. So we're looking forward to that. And even our little guy, it's funny how excited he is that next Sunday he gets his second shot, right. And now the 11-year-old is going through that. What can I have my shot? And I'm not sure if he's excited about getting the vaccine. I think he's heard on the news and he thinks we're going to drive to one of the states that you get a free gun or a free beer to get the shot.
All right.
Are we going
to jump to that?
No, but we're good. But the podcast, I don't know if you went back in and listened to the sideshow for Charles Grodin. I actually did not a lot. I did some real work and I found some of the clips we were talking about.
Yep.
And I wove them in, and it was that was a fun record. And was it you who sent to the group the other day?
No, Joe.
Joe did. Okay.
Yeah. So I haven't gotten through all of it, and said, oh yeah, it's like one of those things where I had not seen all of them, but a lot of them I actually had seen, when it originally aired, right? Because I used to watch Letterman pretty regularly, and I used to watch Carson, pretty regularly. So, a lot of that, I saw kind of when it came out. And it was, it was actually, just fantastic though. He was just so good on that. I mean, he found a character and a niche, and his appearances stood out. So it's always bittersweet when we do a sideshow like that, but that was fun. Next week's sideshow, which we were going to record next, so I can't tell you how right or wrong Biff was, but we're going through the summer movie bracket, and I didn't send you my list. Biff sent me a couple. No. What was that?
I was saying you sent a couple links, so I went movie by movie. I knew most of them, the ones I didn't, and I broke it down into ones I'll see in the theater, ones I'll see in the drive-in, ones I'll see when it comes out on streaming, and the ones that if I'm forced to watch it on a plane, I will walk out.
Okay.
I'm excited about that. Management looked over my list and she saw some of my breakdowns, and some of them say it's like, if she makes me watch it, or she can watch this one by herself. But she was like, pretty dead on. But that was pretty free. Biff, as the dropping of this recording, it's just a couple days before my birthday. And other than mentioning it now, I don't care for 2 reasons. Because A, I'm not 12. And 2, unless you're surprising me with another opportunity to see the cup raced on my birthday, every present I ever get for the rest of my existence will pale in comparison.
There you go.
So you've ruined my birthday for life. Thanks, Dick.
Dick. It was a fun night. That was one of the most fun I had at a hockey game ever, if not the most fun I've ever had.
And I still can't believe it. And I know we've told the story, but the Kings had a 3-0 lead on the New Jersey Devils.
Yep.
Game 4, it was the LA Lakers getting ready to close out. Like all the stars were there. It was star-studded. Tickets were absolutely ridiculous.
Well, it wasn't as bad as Game 4. So
that's what I'm talking about. Game 4 was absolutely ridiculous. Like, do I go to this game or do I send my kid to med school?
That's great. That was really what it was.
And then they lost Game 4. Yeah, you and John and Jacques go to Game 5 in New Jersey. The Kings lost that.
Yeah.
Come back for Game 6. It's still a cup clinching game.
Yeah.
It's still a cup clinching game. And it was technically on my birthday. And, it's funny because I remember, and my wife talks about this, the day that, Taylor called to tell me we went to Game 6. I think we were at Game 5 or Game 6 for the Avalanche. And Forsberg ruptured his spleen.
Right.
And the person who answered the phone says, John's on the phone, says Forsberg ruptured his spleen. I don't know about the human body. I'm like, hang up on him. He's fucking with you. You can't live without your spleen. You know what I mean? It's like, and so when you called, it's like, hey, you want to go to the Cup today? It's your birthday. And I'm like, all right. I see the cheese in front of me. I just don't know, where my foot's going to get caught in this bear trap. So, but you did. It was, like I said, it was the best. We had great seats. Just behind it was behind the Kings goal.
Right. Kind of like, we're kind of like around the corner from where Taylor sits. Yeah.
Yeah. It was great. We were almost like same row as him. So we could literally see each other the whole game. But that moment. And what was great about that game, other than them winning, is it was over early. So you could enjoy.
It wasn't a stressful game at all.
From the second period on, it was very enjoyable because it was like, all right, just don't blow this 3-goal lead.
Yeah.
But it was so and seriously, I think you've let my family off the hook because it's like, don't bother. You know what I mean? Whatever little trinket you want to get me to show your love and affection is meaningless unless you're about to take me to a Bruins game on my birthday when that cup's going to be won, which they could have done 2 years ago. Yeah. And that went sideways. But and now that we're doing Carnival personnel and coming out of the COVID bubble, the Fiesta Carnival traveling shows roll through our town this week.
Okay.
And it's one of those things my boys really wanted to go. And it's everything. It's outdoors. It's all this stuff. Yeah. Everybody says it's safe. It was safe to be there, I believe, except for my wallet. Holy shit. It's like taking them there, getting them their passes. It was, $35 to ride those rides, to get the wristband. Like the wife and I just paid the $2 to get in. But it was worse than Staple Center prices. Like I go to the counter.
Yeah, like it might actually end up being worse than going to Disneyland, right?
I said that. When we go to Disney, it's about $100, per like if you broke it down, Yeah. And this was about the same amount of money. Ain't no Disneyland.
Yeah.
But we did. I get to the snack counter, 2 candy apples, a large popcorn, which is about an extra small movie theater popcorn. Right. And what else did he get? Oh, and a cotton
But in their defense, the movie theater popcorn sizes are ridiculous.
They are, but true. And then a cotton candy. And the guy's like, $28. And I look to the little guy. I'm like, thank God you're not smart enough to go to college anyways.
Oh, God.
And the guy behind the counter starts laughing and goes, dude, I'm sorry. I'm like, and I looked at him like, do you make the prices? He's like, no. I'm like, I know you don't make the prices. You're doing your job. But, but and even the 11-year-old's like, I didn't know it was that much, Papa. I'm like, well, make sure you go on every ride because it's here a couple more days. We ain't coming back. They were not in park shape. That the pandemic had caught up with them. These are kids. The last time we went to Disney with our friend Renetsky,
right?
She has, she has the phone and she has an Android phone and an Apple wristwatch, so she can count her steps and stuff like that.
Right,
dude. We did 11.5 miles that day. We literally
Okay.
did 11 and a half miles. And it was one of those days where we got into the park a half hour before it opened, and the janitor had to nicely ask us to leave after it was closed. It was one of those days. And 11 and a half. These guys did like 5 rides. The oldest one left with mom because he wasn't feeling good. The little guy wanted to stay and do a couple more. He did one more after they left. I will post the picture. He looks very much Kermit the Froggish. You know, he is just green, and he's like, I didn't know it spun when it got to the top. It's like, dumbass, we've been in this line for 10 minutes. You didn't decide to look up when the other riders were taking their turn. But, you know, Joe and I have gone to a carnival before together, and it's, I will always love them for the jerk, you know.
Sure, yeah. But yeah,
you know, your son never went through that phase where you had to take him to these things.
We, you know what? He never liked the rides. So, actually, you know, I've taken him to this. You know, we've gone to Disneyland. You know, with All Star and stuff. You know, stuff like that. Like we had that big group going to Disneyland a couple times, but. And then there was and then after that, there was one more time where you guys invited us, and I asked them, I said, hey, you want to go? I said, no, I don't really like Disneyland that much, Dad. It's like, oh, great. You know, my wallet thanks you.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. So I watched, because I've been toying with stand-up if I have to go on one of those tours. I've been watching there's a show and the movie script that I'm going to be sending your little guy actually for his feedback, because it's like, yeah, everybody who read this so far is around 40. It'd be great to get a couple people, you know, because the main character's 24. You know, so it'd be good to get a couple people in that demographic to find out. But I've heard of this show called Hacks. And it's a 60 between 60 and 70-year-old Vegas comedian. Well, she's a touring comedian all through like the late 70s, 80s, and 90s, but she's been doing a residency at this fictitious like Bellagio hotel. You know, and she's kind of getting squeezed out because they want to bring in younger people, although she's had this residency for like 10 plus years, to the point where there's actually a street in the town they're renaming after her. And her manager also reps this 21, 22-year-old girl who is the epitome of the entitled, like, although she's a social justice warrior, is also clueless to the way that the most of the world works. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
And to kind of say, and then the girl sent out like an insensitive tweet that got her thrown off the show she was writing. And now she's kind of has herself, you know, blacklisted in the town to kind of save her career, but also to, hey, maybe if I pair these up and she writes younger material for this older comic, we can rejuvenate them. And it's an interesting dynamic. You know, I've watched all 8 episodes so far, and a couple episodes I'm like, yeah, I don't love it. I like her, don't like her. I like
so
this.
Who plays the comic?
Oh my God. I knew you were going to ask. I see her I'm horrible at name, but she's somebody who's,
if there only was a tool that we can use that was kind of conveniently located where we could look up just about anything that you can look up in the world. Let's see.
List TV show.
Hacks TV series. And let's see. Who do we got here?
Yeah, Jean Smart.
Starring Jean Smart. Oh,
and she is great. She is like, I don't, you know, so sidebar. So every time Joe likes to ask me if, you know, a person of color's actors' names and I don't know it, and he likes to take that opportunity to say I'm a racist, which I'm not saying I'm not, but I also don't remember, you know, I remember the Marvel characters, most of them, you know, because there's 22 movies, you know, but yeah, no, it's fun. It's a fun thing, and there's a couple elements in there between a legend who gets a younger person, you know, dynamic in there, but it's fun. I mean, that's what's been keeping me busy for the last week.
Got it. Well, yeah, you know, and that sounds actually pretty good.
No, but I've also been watching. It's funny that you put this on the list. Dog Mom vs. Bear. mom. I'll let you go.
Have you seen it? Have you seen it?
I did. I saw it.
Hopefully everybody's seen it, right? So there's an LA community called Bradbury, which is kind of on the foothills of LA. So essentially, and the way LA people for people who don't know LA geography, right? It's essentially the northern border of LA is just wilderness. It's like legit mountains. And so, and the bears occasionally just kind of come down and see what's up. And so basically this is one bear that decided that it's going to hang around these houses. And it was on top of a house's brick fence, and the bear, which was a mama bear, was going at it with a bunch of these tiny little doggies. It's those tiny dogs, man. The bravery of these tiny dogs are just amazing. But they were basically going at it, and then at one point, the mama bear swiped at one of the dogs, and so the dog mom, I think she's like a teenager, runs out, pushes the mama bear off the fence, grabs one of her dogs, and just rushes back into the house, which is like the most insane thing I've ever seen. But she loves her dogs. Good for her.
I think I saw it might have been, one of the people like Rex Chapman or Mark Hamill, who I follow on Twitter, and I had seen it on their post, and they're like, in all capitalizations, no hesitation. Like she looked out and saw what was going on because it's on the security cam thing, and she just makes a beeline for that bear. Right.
And I think several people have made that point. But basically, both creatures were under their running by instinct, right? Mama bear's protecting her babies, and the dog mom's protecting her babies, right? I mean, it's really probably the same instinct to some degree, right? So pretty amazing stuff. Allegedly nobody got hurt, so all's well that ends well. But yeah.
And people don't. People, when I would drive to your place from the beach, you go through patches where it is nothing but wilderness for miles and miles and miles. And people forget that where All-Star lives. I mean, he lives in a Norman Rockwell, Pasadena neighborhood. I'll give out his social security number and exact home address later. But honestly, he lives 5 minutes from the Rose Bowl, 10 minutes from the Rose Bowl, which truly is in the woods. There's nothing around that but wilderness for
Yeah, and if you go into one direct, and once again, Pasadena is right on the foothills also. So definitely, lots of your standard coyotes, skunks, raccoons, and all those good stuff around, and occasionally they'll get, You
always feel bad when you see like lost Chihuahua or missing cat. Dude, that cat ain't missing.
Yeah.
You feel so another story regarding a mom. I guess Texas is maybe now the new Florida. So some piece of shit lady sees her neighbor's puppy, and I don't know. I didn't do that much research into it, but I just read enough and I saw it in a couple places. I'm like, is this because now you have to do that? Is this the Onion? Am I reading the Onion? No, this is on CNN. Okay. I also saw it on Axio. A woman, mid-20s, sees her neighbor's puppy run down the street and decides, I'm going to shoot this dog. Like, just starts randomly shooting at it.
Yeah.
One of the bullets ricochets and I think hit her 5-year-old in the abdomen.
Right.
It's like, mom accidentally shoots child while shooting at a puppy. It's like, first of all, you're a piece of shit shooting at a puppy.
Who shoots at a puppy?
And it's like you feel bad for the 5-year-old, but you kind of maybe it's okay because maybe the state will take him away because if he's going to be raised by a woman shooting at a puppy, maybe getting a bullet in the stomach at age 5 is better than being raised by.
My God.
But yeah, so Florida has its competition from Texas. And speaking of Florida, we're just going to joke about this for a second. And the 2016 debates when Hillary Clinton says, "How do you bankrupt a casino?" That was just so the question in 2021, Biff, now becomes, how do you bankrupt a blog?
I'm sure they have costs, right? But whatever.
What are the costs? So, I mean, literally,
I'm sure they have costs because somebody has to. I don't know. I guess the surprising part of it though is that, like, I mean, I thought that there was a huge fan base, eager to see material from this guy, and so that it's like, I mean, people like whatever, like there's a bunch of people that just puts out awful content, but because people want to hear it,
right,
they make money, right?
Well, this I did not go to the blog. I didn't want to give it a click, but one of the things I've heard from people who monitor this, it was like an old school blog, so it was kind of not the most easy to navigate, type thing. And the hilarious thing is, I'm sad.
So you're telling me Junior was the webmaster? Is that what you're telling me?
I'm sad to say that 2 days later or 3 days later, after he folded the blog, that Facebook came out and says, okay, we're holding up this ban for 2 more years. It's like, what? Within the first day, there's going to be something posted that should instantly,
right,
remind everybody, oh, this is why it was good. But I don't know. Did he think he's getting back on Facebook and that's why he shut it down?
Well, I mean, it's probably one of those, but I mean, Facebook on their own is probably thinking, so 2 years from now, what is that?
So let's
summer of 23. That has no impact on the elections or anything, right?
Let's pretend we have a Wayback Machine. Mr. Peabody takes us in his Wayback Machine, and we go and we watch the Mayans. And let's say there's a shaman for the Mayans. I don't know what they call their prophets, who kept saying the world's going to end on this day. And then when the world doesn't end, they're like, oh, it was a miscalculation. It's going to end on this day, and then that day comes and goes. And how many passes does that shaman get before the Mayans are like, you know what? You're the next tool we're going to sacrifice to this god and throw him in a volcano or her in a volcano. I don't know. With that said, I guess the new inauguration is going to be in August, or I guess it's not an inauguration. The word is he's going to be reinstated in August.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever.
But how many? Oh, no. It's going to be in February. No. We met April. No. We met June, and each and every time that the fundraising they do on it. And I don't feel bad for the people shelling out, but at one point,
at all.
When do they either A, run out of cash to give, or B, and the fun, and that's the other funny thing about the Florida.
Well, I mean, I don't feel bad for those people, but I think it's really like the same thing that some of those online televangelists are. It's just a horrible grift, right? I mean, that's the thing, and they are to some degree preying upon the gullible, right? So in that sense,
And have you ever? No, you guys, who got a shout out? Was it on Cameo that you guys got a shout out for Paul a little while ago?
Somebody did. One of the guys bought a Scotty Bowman cameo for Old Man Paul. Yeah.
Are there a lot of billionaires selling 5 minute or 30-second shout outs on Cameo?
Oh, billionaires. You know what? I actually have looked up hockey players. So none of those people are going to be billionaires, but
I mean, it's it's interesting. What is that website now that has you can take a writing class from Steve Martin, or you can take
is that the master class?
The master class. There's some big names on that, like Wayne Gretzky. Yeah. Speaking of, has so that's one thing to subscribe to that. But I can't imagine Steve Martin. How much would it cost? My whole point is Don Jr. is now on Cameo. Who is shelling out $500 to get a 30-second shout out from that tool bag?
Somebody I saw a tweet. So somebody tweeted about that where it basically said, "Don't shell out your money to try to troll one of your friends with a Don Jr. cameo because you're kind of essentially." Doing what he wants you to do, basically, is the idea, right?
But what, so allegedly a billionaire. What why is this quote unquote billionaire?
Because he's the man of the people. He wants to be out there. He's giving people an opportunity to present himself to be out there. He is a generous man.
How is COVID going in LA?
Generally really well. Like, it's the vaccination rates are pretty good. And I guess we're opening up on June 15th. So we will see what kind of, what happens. But I think just from the standpoint that our entire family has now been vaccinated, my son and, wife will still have another week of a waiting period till they're in they're in full, protection or whatever. But I've been good for about a month now. So I think that has really changed the stress level, on my part in terms of, I'm out there, I'm still wearing a mask, but I'm not so stressed out about some, person just walking around with a chin cup or whatever, so it's a lot less stressful to be out there.
And here in Massachusetts, the vaccination rates, I don't know if they're the best in the country, but they're.
I know that it was up there. I think Massachusetts is really high.
And it is funny because at this point in Massachusetts, if you're not vaccinated, you don't want it and you're not going to. So we're pretty much tapped out because you go to the CVS's or the Walgreens. My little guy, he went to his doctor's office, and honestly, from the signing in to the getting from here to the thing, you didn't stop until he sat in the chair, got the shot. You know what I mean? There's no lines, there's no waiting at this point. So, but the same with you. We still keep our masks in the car. If I'm going to the store, and I'm gonna keep a mask probably on me or in my car for the foreseeable future. Cold and flu season. Not that I get the cold, but why? Look, I don't think my manhood was in jeopardy or my freedoms.
Oh, it's the opposite for me. I have this mask that is like basically the nose and mouth of Bailey, the LA Kings, lion mascot.
Oh, nice.
And I get so many compliments on my mask. And of course, I never got any compliments, being myself. So it is an improvement.
But you mentioned televangelist, and there's a televangelist, Rick Wills, and he, I know there's a lot of the Fauci created this in the vaccine so he could blah blah blah, and this piece of shit, this televangelist, it's God's plight against humanity. A, it's a hoax, but B, this hoax is being perpetrated because the LGBTQ community exists. But it's a hoax. On one hand, it's a hoax. On the other hand, it's from God because the village people. And guess who's in the hospital with COVID? And he's one of those people who's been screaming for a year, don't wear a mask, don't be a sheep, God's going to protect you. Well, God's going to protect you if you're not one of them, and it's
in God's defense, taking the souls in is part of his job. So,
I don't have, look, like I said, in Massachusetts, if you don't have the shot, you can't say everybody, but I'm going to say 95+% of the people who haven't got the shot don't want it. And if they get it and they get sick and they die off, well, I do not feel bad. I do not lament that, people can still get it. I mean, that's a scary thing. Not everybody can get the shot. Some people are going to get it. A friend of ours just lost a dear friend, from this, within the past couple months. And it's sad to hear. But back here in a state where it's been under control for a while, you're just a jackass. Now, speaking of jackass, thank you, Biff, for finally sending me a Week in Crime on a YouTube. So the video played. So I know what you're about to talk about.
Well, so, there's crime and then there's crime. And this one is it's so awful. This is the kind of thing that we don't see in our country. Thank God, because
thank God.
So this man decides that he could just go to his neighborhood 7-Eleven, plug his household appliances into the outlet attached to that building, and steal the 7-Eleven electricity. Unbelievable. Who does that? Who goes around stealing electricity from 7-Elevens? Well, this man did. Thank God the police step in.
Well, Biff, you will post it. You post it on Twitter, or I will.
Yeah.
The 3-minute clip. I don't know. Did Ridley Scott direct this new segment? Because the graphics of the store going dark and the electric bolt going through, they did the same. No, you know who directed this? I'll tell you who directed this. This was a 30-second news story that Zack Snyder made 3 minutes long, because with Zack Snyder's slow-mo pans, they kept slow-mo panning to the same outlets. Sometimes they were pan left to right and zoom in on the outlets. Sometimes they were pan, right to left and zoom in on the outlets. Sometimes they would pan down to the outlets. They kept panning down to the same outlets.
This. I don't know what it is about Japanese news where they love the reenactments, or the whatever. Yeah, the reenactments basically, and they put in all this effort into the reenactments. It's like wow. It's like, I mean, that's a lot of money they're spending on the news.
Well, you had the special effects of the electric bolt coming through.
Yeah.
You had the not low grade, like the animations. You had them tracking the car down at the impound.
Let's just say they're intern grade, right?
Right.
Intern grade animation.
But there was like 4 different kinds of mediums that were put into this 2.5 minute news segments, and my favorite, Zack Snyder, slow motion pan in. They track down this guy's. So I guess the cops come to the guy's car. I couldn't tell. Did he cause a power outage in the 7-Eleven, or was it just okay?
No. There was no power outage. Just like, basically those, the store people spotted him. What the hell is this guy doing? Let's call the police. And apparently that is reenactment, eligible, event, right?
Now, my next question to you, did those noodles look good? They looked pretty good to me. I couldn't tell what kind of noodles he had made.
You know what? One thing, and people who haven't been to Japan laugh at this, like, food at 7-Eleven in Japan is actually really good. Like, 7-Eleven is a fun place to go buy food, like to buy snacks and whatever else. I mean, it literally, they literally have a smorgasbord. So the guy does, and I'll be honest, I'll jump ahead a little bit let's stay on this. So they do the reenactment, they track down the car, but my favorite Zack Snyder slow-mo thing is they find the car at the impound and they slowly pan it and zoom in on the plate. His empty plate of noodles. There's our smoking gun.
And am I wrong, or was there a police pursuit?
I think there was a bit of a pursuit, right? I mean, basically the guy did not, but it's, and the funny thing is though, like the fabulous police chase that we see in this country just doesn't happen in that country. It's just not quite as fun in that sense, but yeah.
So because it showed the animation of the cops like leaning into the car talking to him, and then he drives away, and then it cuts to real footage of like his car down the street surrounded by other cop cars. So
eventually, I mean, and
what was he charged with?
I think it's a form of petty theft, I think.
And I did it like. When you send the stuff and I can't figure out where the play button is, I enjoyed this one, quite a lot. And it's funny because playing a video game the other day, playing the Resident Evil, you have to climb up on this one roof in this village, and the roof is half gone, and there's an electrical cable dropping down, and it looks like one person is running an electric power from one house to the other. And dude, it brought back memories. I may or may not. I'll have to check with, my buddies, Dan and Rod and John. I may or may not in 1991, 92, have figured out that the upstairs apartment where there was like 4 girls living up there, their power box was in our basement.
Oh, okay.
And we lost power, and by lost power, we just stopped paying the bill.
Okay.
And so for a whole semester, we may or may not have power off this. fast forward, we did.
Yeah, sure.
Because back then in the 90s, what we would do is you could order the phone, cable, and electricity in aliases. It was so easy. And
I didn't know that.
Everybody in the Batman universe, one semester it would be James Gordon had everything turned on. So in late August, everything would get turned on. And it takes about 3 or 4 months for them to catch up. And it's like, we're, right in time to go home for Christmas break. Right. And then, the next semester, it's Tim Drake ordered everything, or it's Barbara Gordon. And so one semester we just, it didn't get turned on. And I'm like, I think I got to work around. I'm not going to look on this guy too harshly, because maybe, the 22-year-old Jacques maybe not making all the best decisions at the time.
Well,
I saw that and I thought that was great. What else I thought was great? Did you do anything special for Memorial Day?
I slept. That was special.
Okay, so where you have passports to 2 other countries, maybe you don't have the love for this country as you should. Maybe you should have spent.
I love this country. That's why I live here.
Well, then why weren't you sending around pictures on Memorial Day to get shout outs for Lee Harvey Oswald, like a lot of other great Americans were doing?
Right. And so I sent out the clip to, when you kind of hit us up with that, and it immediately made me think of the Full Metal Jacket scene where right, basically the drill sergeant's talking about 2 historically awesome Marines who learned how to shoot as a Marine, and one of them was
target from 600 feet away.
Right.
Got off 3 shots, 2 of them a kill shot in the head inside 6 seconds.
Yep.
You will not leave my island.
And so, it was kind of that onion moment, right? So,
and for those who don't know what we're talking about, some people much smarter than Biff and much funnier than me decided to reach out to a bunch of GOP members with a picture of Lee Harvey Oswald when he was a private in the Army. Or the Marines, sorry.
Marines, yeah.
And say, this is my Uncle Rufus.
Yeah.
And he is a World War II vet and a big fan of yours.
Yeah.
It would mean the world if you could retweet this and thank him for his service. And and the fact that all of these people don't have an intern who monitors their social media.
Well, you know what, though? I think that's the hard part. Well, I mean, you can't. I mean, I don't know if you're gonna do the Google, image search for every one of these things that come up. But I mean, I think it's a very, like guys our age recognize Lee Harvey Oswald, right? But I don't know if people who are the interns' age would recognize. That, I mean, that face is a pretty memorable face. At least, we're probably at the tail end of the people who recognize Lee Harvey Oswald, right?
But before you send something, look, how long does it take to do a reverse image search on the Google?
Yeah, like I said, I get it, but I wonder.
Or ask Jeeves. I don't want to, put all my eggs in the Google basket. Ask Jeeves.
I wonder if it's one of those deals where they get such a high volume of these, right? That they don't have, But you're right, though. They should be doing this, right? I mean, they should have,
And when are we going to stop blaming Lee Harvey Oswald, who was a patsy, who had nothing to do with this, who wasn't there? Because the real killer, the real killer turns out to be Woody Harrelson's dad. Well, I don't know his relationship with Ted Cruz's father, but I've heard from a high government source, probably the highest government source at the time, that it was Ted Cruz's father. But did you know that story about and I knew it, but I relearned it this week, that Woody Harrelson's father was an assassin?
Oh, I did not know that.
Oh, you thought? Wow. Oh, no, I'm not kidding. Lee Harvey Oswald.
I got to look that up.
Yeah. Woody Harrelson's dad has been linked to a couple high-profile assassinations, including he was escorted off the grassy knoll the morning of.
Wow.
Dude, Woody, it's when I saw it, I'm like, okay. I'm not going to fall for this like the GOP fucks did.
Right.
I'm actually going to look. And as I'm looking up, I'm like, oh, I think Joe and I had talked about this before. But yeah, truly.
Crazy.
Woody Harrelson and Ted Cruz's dad apparently did this. Charles Voigt Harrelson, July 23rd, 1938, March 15th, 2007, an American hitman and organized crime figure who was convicted of assassinating federal judge John H. Wood Jr., the first federal judge to be killed in the 20th century. Harrelson was the father of actor Woodrow Harrelson. And then you go down and it's like, yeah, he was tied to this murder of Alan Harry Berg, Sam, I can't say his last name, that judge, allegations of involvement in the assassination of John Kennedy. So yeah, he was a real honest to goodness, mob hitman.
Crazy.
So anyways, that's a fun fact. So
okay.
So Biff, you know a little about, Japan, but your real expertise comes in the way of the NHL, and now that the playoffs are underway.
Yeah.
Let's before we talk about anything about the scores and how awesome my Bruins are doing, that hit in the Jets Montreal series.
Oh, yeah, awful, right? I mean, and it's really disappointing because so for those who don't pay attention or don't even care, I'll tell it to you anyway. Winnipeg Jets were down 4-3 at the tail end of the game, and they pulled their goalie. And a player from the Montreal Canadiens get to a puck that gets dumped towards the Winnipeg zone. He comes around from behind the net to score the empty net goal. And as he's doing that, a player named Mark Scheifele from the Winnipeg Jets come flying down from the other end of the ice, seemingly to stop the goal. But basically, he just runs straight through the player, and the player is out. I mean, he just knocked him out, and it was an ugly hit. I mean, the guy had a 100-foot,
right? And is he giving away? Is he 60 pounds heavier?
I mean, he's a bigger player, but I mean,
he
what they say, right?
Leaves his feet.
Yeah, you know what they say, right? It's about the speed matters more than the mass, right?
But when you have both,
but yeah. So I mean, it was an ugly hit, and it's unfortunate because Scheifele is not a player known for dirty play, right? He's generally regarded as a clean player, but there was a lot of this thing where he, even after the suspension was handed down, he said, well, I was trying to stop a goal. And I'm thinking, I think you were trying to go through the guy.
He had he made no effort. And again, left. Yeah. It's one of those things going back to 70, 72, 73, the Pat Burns hit on Bobby Orr, where Bobby Orr even said, my head was down a little too long. So the guy's head he wasn't at all expecting he was going to get hit, let alone this. His head was down, but it's one of those things. It's like, I'm not victim shaming because you saw a couple ex-NHL guys. I think I sent you guys.
It's just awful.
He should have, this is playoff hockey. It's like, this is Phoenix hockey. If you remember that famous quote.
Yeah, right. Real serious stuff, bunch of drunken people getting together on Memorial Day weekend.
But to say that the guy's head was down and stuff, you know what? Yeah, it was. And maybe he shouldn't have been that laissez, fair about it, laissez-faire. Excuse my French being not that French. But that hit, he had every intention. He didn't play the puck. He didn't put his stick down to keep the wraparound from happening. He left his feet shoulder to head, and that was just... especially now, with player safety issues and all this collective bargaining. I mean, for one player to disregard another person's,
absolutely, that's an important point. Yeah, absolutely.
But how are you doing with your picks so far? Are the Habs actually going to pull off this upset?
I mean, my picks are doing better than my Leafs, so let's just put it there. I got two brackets wrong. One of them is, of course, the Leafs. What a shock! And then the other one is I picked Minnesota on an upset over Las Vegas. They took him to 7 games, so it was pretty close. I guess technically Toronto took him to 7 games, although it shouldn't have gone that far.
Well, I was going to say, I think you meant to say Montreal took it to 7 games.
Yeah, I mean.
Dude, look, I don't have a love loss for the Leafs, but I do. At one point, you got to say, it's like, holy shit, That city hasn't won a playoff series in 17 years. It's almost criminal, especially again, the players on that team, the talent on that team.
Well, I think okay, so. I think that there's a little bit of a misnomer there, and I think there's a certain parallel to Edmonton there. And what you and this, I had a discussion with one of the guys last night, and I said, listen, I don't know why why you all think the Leafs are going to be such a great team. Go ahead and pull up the roster of the Toronto Maple Leafs and put them against like the real teams that are contending. The Tampa Bays, the Boston Bruins, the Colorado Avalanche, and just go, line by line and see. Once you do that matchup, you see, oh my God, this is why these guys, the Tampa, Boston, Colorados are going so far, and Toronto's at home. I mean,
but you can
say the same for the Edmonton.
It is.
I mean, think about it. Edmonton has the past two different players who have won the league MVP on their roster, and they were swept.
Right. It's unbelievable. We could do a sideshow just on, wait a minute, how have the Edmonton Oilers drafted well? It's not like they've missed on their draft picks. Like
they have.
But they've also drafted some real phenomenal players that had good careers, but couldn't surround them with any talent. But when you got like Thornton coming over from the Sharks, it's like, okay, so now you got this Matthews, this unworldly talent, and you're bringing in the vet who's going to teach them how to lose big playoff games.
I don't. So I don't think Thornton's the problem, and I think there are other issues. Well, I mean, and when I say that, like, you look at like a Pat Maroon in Tampa, and it's like, I mean, if you could fit them into a particular role, I think it's fine. And I don't think that Thornton was the guy that was a problem because, to some degree, he did a lot on the power play, but then on the other hand, their power play sucks. So.
It was but it's the thing about the Leafs and their plight. It's not that I'm just trying to think who's been a shitty. They're not the Buffalo Sabres, who have been a shitty team for the last 17 years. The fact that I think
they haven't been. Buffalo Sabres plight is really closer to the last 12.
But when's the last time the Sabres? But the whole thing is the Leafs haven't lost playoff series after playoff series. The Leafs haven't been bad. The Leafs have been heartbreakingly bad, where I think in the last 17 years, they've lost. Help me with the number. Have they lost 7 Game 7s?
Something like that. Yeah, they've lost a lot.
I mean, that's the soul crushing thing. It's like, when people always talk about, the Red Sox and the Cubs were the same. It's like, no, the Cubs for 80 years sucked. They would have 2 or 3 years here and there where they would be okay. But generally speaking, baseball season starts the first week of April. By the first week of May, the Cubs were mathematically eliminated. The Red Sox lost 7 like either World Series games or, back then when there was only, one round of the playoffs before the World Series or something like that. They lost 7 Game 7s. Yeah, 7 Game 7s in the World Series. The Red Sox lost between their 2 World Series. So they were always, that close. And that's what sucks. Like, if you're a shitty team, if you are the Bengals, or if you are, go down with any sport team who's just phenomenally bad, if you're the Cleveland Browns, you know what I mean? It's like, you go into every season with hope, but by week 3, you're brought back to earth. And with the Leafs, they don't do that. They truly, and each and every time, each of those 7 games, it's like, the laws of averages say you're going to get a bounce. You can get outplayed, but you're going to get 1 out of 7 bounces should go your way.
Well, I mean, yes and no, right? I mean, so I think there's literally 3 generations of teams, right, that have done this. But I think the issue with the current generation, there is, I feel like the Mike Babcock effect is still lingering to some degree, but all that aside, I mean, you could just see how much the pressure is, because when Mitch Marner, they're down, they're already shorthanded, and Mitch Marner hurls the puck over the ice, and you look at him in the penalty box, and that guy has the look of a teenage boy that just wrecked their family's brand new car. I'm serious.
You know,
I mean,
you're right. You're right.
Right. And I'm thinking, there is so much, weight on this guy. And it's like, and I just felt at that moment, I just felt so bad for that guy, and I really feel bad for him in general because of the amount of abuse he's getting.
Oh, no, it's not, and also help me out. Who is the tennis phenom who withdrew from the French Open this week?
Naomi Osaka. Yeah.
Yeah. The fact that the stigma with mental health, worldwide, it's not in the country. Yeah. So here's this girl, this woman, this tremendous athlete who's like, I don't want to go through this shit. Like and seriously, why do we do that? Why do we need get the head coach out there? But you just lost a big match. You just lost a game 7. Don't make the guys come out of the locker room and talk about it. You know what I mean? It's like, do your own fucking job, journalists. But this woman says, you know what? It ain't worth playing tennis right now. Yeah. I can go and play and then just pay the fine for not talking to the media, or I'd just rather stay home and not deal with and the masculinity of like, that's part of the job. Oh, if you can't take it, it's like, I feel bad for, like I said, the guys on the Leafs and the kids who, you're in you're in the mecca of hockey,
right?
And you fail on such a grand stage, and again, you lose to the Bruins in Game 7, you lose to the Canadiens in Game 7, you lose to the Lightning or the Avalanche. It's not as bad, but it's to lose to the Habs on home ice,
right? So what I'll say about all of them though is that ultimately, like, it was one of those, there we go again, but. I still don't feel as bad as I felt in '93 when in the finals, because, and the reason is that I know that a lot of people had a lot of expectation for this Leafs team, and like I told you earlier, I don't think this Leafs team is that great. I mean, they have these great stars. Those core guys that are stars are legit great, right? But I didn't expect them to, go anywhere near sniffing the cup.
No, but you're right. That 93 team. And again, that's one of those.
I'm talking about the 93 Kings loss.
Oh, okay. I was
because, let me go. So, because the 93 Kings stole game 1 in Montreal, and until the stick incident, right, had the lead late into the second game.
Taylor's with his friend, and they used to travel to games all the time. They were literally just couldn't believe it, because they're sitting there. If they're not on the glass, they're pretty damn close to the glass. It's like, we're going home 2-0.
Yeah,
we're going home 2-0, and then that happened. No, that is soul. That is.
So I mean, that to me, that is like, I mean, and obviously I love the Kings, but at that point, that was so much more heartbreaking. That series, losing that series,
destroying. That's that. Honestly, you've seen it. And you go through the sports. The teams that have had that kind of loss that way, it's hard to bounce back. It is hard to bounce back. Well, you know what? Before we get off like the hockey, last weekend was our annual trip to Phoenix. That we've now missed for 2 years.
Yep.
What is the name of the bar inside Scottsdale Plaza?
JD's.
So I did, and look, if All Star, Scotty Black, or any Al's listen, no, Al never went. So the guys who would hang out with us at JD's, I already put Taylor on notice. I'm putting together a class action suit. I feel like in a divorce proceedings, like you become accustomed to a certain style of life.
Sure, yeah.
Do you want to join the lawsuit that says that John should be on the hook for the money he would have spent at JD's on us to be divided amongst the 4 or 5 of us? Like, I think Patty's in that group, or Thriller. I think the lawsuit is me, you, Thriller, and who else should be?
Tripari and Gattina, right?
Yeah, but those guys were the last couple years. But we're going back. Look, for a decade plus.
Sure, right. We have to add Ruger, right?
You got to add Ruger in there.
Yeah.
And and not just the money he spent on the food and the beer. He was a phenomenal tipper, especially when he would leave a day early and leave me in charge.
Right.
Then that guy became the greatest tipper in the history of it. So before we get off the hockey talk, I'm I've actually been getting a little bit by the bug. It's like, it's time to start hitting the ice, and I can't play here, but I did. When I wasn't busy forwarding pictures of Lee Harvey Oswald over Memorial Day weekend, I was lamenting the fact that the Fertilizers were once again not in Phoenix playing Phoenix hockey. Video games, I'm guessing you haven't done much this week or have not much news?
No, it's just been I have not even watched all of the hockey games, which is just just bums me out to no end. But so eventually I'm going to get the Resident Evil.
So I said the last episode when we recorded 2 weeks ago, I'm done playing, and I pretty much stuck to it. One day, the little guy was like, after you play a game, there's downloadable content and these different challenge maps. I spent a day with him kind of doing it. Okay, and then, it's, one kid's getting into baseball and we can get to the field and hit it around and catch and stuff like that. So this is us playing catch, but I'm like, right. Yeah, dude, I'm not sitting, it was fun. It was great. But he's stunned that it's like, I can walk away from it. But it's one of those things where the game costs $60. The downloadable content was another $20. That's about a third of what 2 tickets to a Kings game cost. You know what I mean? Well, it's less than what we spent at the Carnival. Right. And we're probably spending, by the time he moves on to the next game and the time that I put, we're paying about 48 cents per hour of entertainment. So it is definitely worth it. I already talked about the show Hacks. I think I mentioned this last time too. Speaking about video games, there is a great show called Mythic Quest on Apple TV Plus. It's basically World of Warcraft. It's The Office. It's the TV show The Office inside World of Warcraft office. So it's a guy who created. So it's Mythic Quest is a make believe game that's akin to one of those like battle axes medieval time games. It's a great and it's fun. It's a fun show. It is. It's a really good show. If I was going to recommend a show other than Hacks, I would say Mythic Quest. Other than NHL stuff, do you got anything going on?
I got NHL stuff, and that's it. Watch NHL on the fly.
And I'm just going to ask you. Do you find it at all patronizing, sexist? Every NHL on the fly show has a different size -0, high-heeled, lady talking with Scarface Scott Stevens, about hockey. Do you think it's a little dated for that, or
it's one of those deals where I think it varies. Part of it is that I think it's good to have different voices, right? So, and but I think what I like this, I'm kind of interested in seeing what ESPN does next year, because they already hired Leah Hextall, who is, I think, Brian Hextall's daughter and Ron Hextall's cousin, Dennis Hextall's niece, right? And she's actually been doing play-by-play in Canada for various teams.
That's great.
She's fantastic. And they ESPN hired her as a play-by-play, and I think AJ Malesko, who's been doing color on the NBC Sports Network telecast, is also fantastic. Really she's so much better than at least two of the men. Like Pierre Maguire is just so awful.
There are a couple. Who's been good, who I don't remember being there in the past, is Anson Carter.
I like Anson Carter a lot. It's one of those things where it just angers me when I see Babcock on it. It's like, why do you have Babcock on?
Honestly, he's a dinosaur, and Anson Carter. and Anthony Carter's, a guy in his mid-50s saying, I can't believe how old Anthony Carter is. I didn't think he was 47, but you look at his career, he had a really great lace him up for like 15-year career.
Yep. It bummed me out that because I was so jacked when he became a king, but it just didn't work out.
I was so bummed when he left Boston. My sister.
He was great in Boston. He
was a fan favorite.
But I like Dominic more, but like guys like Keith Jones and Mike Babcock and Pierre Maguire. It's like I think they could just this is a good time for them to retire from this.
Agreed. It's one of those things where if you're trying to skew younger and, so you got the pretty girl, and I'm not saying anything about them not being knowledgeable enough for hockey. My whole thing is like, do you have to dress them up like they're going to a, it's fine.
I think but I mean, if you look at, that's kind of like, it's a standard, it's kind of almost a standard news-ish, or like at least in the sports news-ish. Yeah. I mean, that's across all sports, right?
Do you got a parenting tip this week?
I do not, because I've been watching NHL hockey and working, so I've been ignoring my entire family the whole week.
So the name of our episode 2 weeks ago is "My Kid Can Hit a Ball," and my parenting tip is, not a parenting tip that I haven't said before. But it's been nice. My little guy has now made the connection of, I've been getting to the field a half hour early and hitting a ball off a tee. And I've been going to the field one off day a week for a half hour with my dad right after school and hitting a ball off a tee and taking ground balls. And I'm not stuck in right field and an automatic out anymore.
Right.
Gee. And my parenting tip is like, hey, make those little bastards get out there and take those ground balls, because this meal, like, as much as baseball is dying, F it, Biff, they still make, if he's a second string shortstop, not a shortstop, if he's a second string second baseman somewhere, dude, my grandkids won't have to work. Yeah. So my parenting tip is if they show the tiniest little bit of interest and ability, then you fucking get under that cow and you milk it till it drops.
Well, but you are doing a fantastic job with that. I mean, I'm glad that he's enjoying the playing now, in the fact that all of that's clicked. But that's just been amazing to see, how, it's just great to see that he's enjoying that. Right.
It has been. Yeah, it has been great, man, and it's he had to come to it. Like, he had to be the one to say, I want to do this. Yeah. And now it's contagious. So it is great. And I'm all done yapping. So I leave the rest to you.
Well, we talked a lot about playoff hockey, and it's only round 2. But I think, at this point, it is when things start really picking up. So I think it's important that you don't forget.
This is foul for all you lovers out there in Radio Land tonight.
Slipshod angel bats her eyes to eloquent light tonight. The direct stabs of a man who knows his time has passed him by. Pour me out damp and cold when the silken hair paints tangles on my chest. Jesus never had to feel this much. Everyone smiles the grins and fathomless, smoky in the air. Every trust and pose, those who know still don't care. And every other word's too loud, and every other drink is laced with acid. Rancid etiquette. Jesus, Savior, Judas, active freaking funny and damn cold. When the bitter runs dry, it's for all who can sing to fill our glasses with. Let it down to the end, with silken hair. It's tangles on my chest. Jesus never had to feel this much.
just thought up an ending to that song.
That was Foul